She laughed and said, "A single dad like you can't please a woman." What he said next changed both their lives forever. Before we dive into this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. She teased, "Single dad like you can't please woman." He leaned in and said, "Want to bet?" I still remember the way the cafe went quiet when she said it. She laughed lightly and teased, "Single dad like you can't please a woman." Her words stung more than I expected, not because they were cruel, but because once, long ago, I had believed in myself. I leaned in, calm but steady, and said, "Want to bet?" I wasn't trying to impress her. I was trying to reclaim a part of myself I had buried under years of exhaustion and self-doubt. I am a single father, and my life had been shaped by early mornings, packed lunches, and bedtime stories. After my wife passed away, love felt like a luxury I could no longer afford. My world became about survival, responsibility, and quiet sacrifice. People praised me for being strong, but they never saw how lonely strength could be. The woman across from me that day was named Clara. She was sharp, witty, and carried her own scars behind confident eyes. Her teasing wasn't meant to hurt me. It was armor, the kind people wear when they've been disappointed too many times. Instead of snapping back, I smiled. I told her I didn't need to please a woman to prove my worth. I said love wasn't about performance, but presence. She raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. So I invited her into my real life. Not dates filled with glamour, but walks to school, shared dinners, and honest conversations. She saw me tie shoelaces with patience. She watched me listen deeply when my child spoke. She noticed how I remembered small things, like how she took her tea. Slowly, her teasing softened into curiosity. One evening, after a long day, she admitted something that changed everything. She said no one had ever made her feel this safe before. Not adored for who she pretended to be, but accepted for who she truly was. That was the moment of shock for both of us. We realized love grows strongest not in grand gestures, but in daily care. I didn't win a bet that day. We both won understanding. Clara learned that a man shaped by responsibility can love deeply. I learned that my past pain had prepared me to love wisely. We built something gentle, patient, and real. Not perfect, but sincere. And that was more than enough. Moral: never underestimate a heart that has endured hardship. Those who carry responsibility with love often know how to love the deepest. Our days began to blend in ways I never expected. Clara started showing up without announcements. Sometimes she brought books for my child. Sometimes she brought silence, which I learned was another form of care. She watched how my life revolved around responsibility, not because I had to, but because I chose to. One afternoon, while we were tying my child's shoelaces before school, she paused. Her hands trembled slightly. She whispered that no one had ever stayed long enough to learn her quiet moments. I didn't rush to reassure her. I simply stayed. That was when I understood something important. Love doesn't arrive loudly. It enters softly, waits patiently, and proves itself through consistency. There were hard days too. Days when exhaustion made me short-tempered. Days when grief resurfaced without warning. Clara saw those days, not the polished version of me. And instead of stepping back, she stepped closer. She told me pain doesn't make someone unlovable. It makes them human. One night, after my child had fallen asleep, we sat on the floor with our backs against the couch. The house was quiet in that fragile way only tired homes understand. She admitted she had mocked single fathers because she was afraid of being second to something else, afraid of not being enough. I told her that love isn't divided. It multiplies. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't hide. In that moment, I realized healing doesn't come from being saved. It comes from being seen. And slowly, without promises or pressure, we began to rebuild parts of ourselves we thought were lost. The next weeks taught me more about love than the years before them. Clara began learning our rhythms. She learned when my child needed encouragement instead of discipline. She learned when I needed quiet instead of advice. And I learned when her laughter was real and when it was hiding worry. One rainy evening, my child fell sick, the kind of fever that steals sleep and fills the night with fear. I pace the room, trying to stay calm. Clara didn't ask what to do. She simply moved. She cooled towels, whispered stories, and held a small hand until breathing steadied. Watching her in that moment shook something deep inside me, not because she was perfect, but because she chose to care without being asked. Later, as dawn crept in, she rested her head on my shoulder. She confessed she had never imagined herself in a life like this. Messy, real, full of responsibility. Yet here she was, feeling more whole than ever before. I told her that love doesn't look like movies. It looks like showing up when no one is watching. There were misunderstandings too, moments when fear spoke louder than trust. Once, she accused me of keeping part of my heart locked away. She wasn't wrong. I was still guarding old wounds. Instead of defending myself, I told her the truth, that losing someone once teaches you how fragile happiness can be. She listened without interrupting. Then she said something that stayed with me. She said courage isn't the absence of fear. It's loving even when fear is present. From that day, we began opening doors slowly, carefully, not forcing the past away, but letting the future step in. In time, the fear that once lived between us softened, not because it disappeared, but because trust grew stronger than it. One evening, as I watched Clara help my child with homework, I felt a quiet certainty settle in my chest. This wasn't a replacement for what I had lost. It was a continuation of love in a new form. Clara looked up and met my eyes, and in that small moment, everything felt aligned. She didn't need grand promises. Neither did I. We had already proven ourselves through patience, effort, and presence. Later that night, she admitted something with a gentle smile. She said she had been wrong about single fathers. Wrong about love being limited. Wrong about me. I smiled back and told her the truth, that her teasing had unknowingly challenged me to believe in myself again. Our life didn't become perfect, but it became honest. And honesty, I learned, is the foundation of lasting love. We chose each other every day, not out of obligation, but understanding, moral. Never judge a heart by its circumstances. The deepest love often grows in lives shaped by responsibility, patience, and quiet strength. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it touched your heart, please share it, leave a comment below, and remind someone of this truth. You are never alone.